In 2D, we have lots of questions about this in class today, but in 2D, what I would do is I would work with my basic idea of how we simplify expressions, and that is using our GEMDOS. And in GEMDOS, it's basically asking me to start with the stuff inside the grouping symbols first, so I really wanted to isolate here on these things inside the grouping symbols. So I got this 4x to the 7th, y to the 6th, z to the negative 3rd, all over x to the 4th, y to the negative 9, z squared to the negative 2. So I'm going to isolate first and be thinking about how can I simplify the stuff inside the grouping symbols. Well, inside the grouping symbols, there are a couple things that I would want to take care of. One of my top priorities for me is I would like to get rid of any of the negative exponents that are in my fraction. So these are the two that I'm identifying first. So in order to do that, the 4 is fine, the x to the 7th is fine. But I want to take this y to the negative 9 to the top, because the negative exponent forces me to reciprocate it. So I'm going to take that back up to the top, so it's y to the 9. Then I'll have a y to the 6th, just taking that one was fine. Now this z to the negative 3, since it's to the negative 3, that negative is going to force me to remove it down to the bottom and reciprocate it. So I want to move that z cubed to the negative 3 to the z to the 3rd to the bottom. So now I've taken care of this one. I've taken care of that one. I've got an x to the 4th down there yet and a z squared. That's all raised to the negative 2. So really in this step, all I've done is I've tried to get rid of and eliminate all of my negative exponents here and here. So these came down and those went up. Everything else stayed the same. Now I'm going to utilize our rules of quotient rules. Or you can think of where do you have more of them. So there aren't any other constants, so the 4 is going to stay on the top. There are 3 more x's on the top and the bottom, or you can simply use your quotient rule, and that's dividing like bases. You subtract exponents, it's x to the 3rd. There are 6 more. Oh, sorry, I didn't look at those very carefully. That's a y to the 6th times y to the 9th. We're going to multiply like bases. That is your product rule. So we add exponents, that's y to the 15th. And on the bottom, these are like bases, so we're going to add those exponents with our product rule. That is z to the 5th. Now that's all raised to the negative 2. Now I've done everything I can to simplify the inside. Now I want to work on my negative exponent. The meaning of that negative exponent is always to reciprocate the number that is being raised to that power, which is this entire fraction. So we're going to reciprocate the entire fraction. So it's z to the 5th over 4x cubed y to the 15th. And all we did is we reciprocated, we still have it squared. Okay, so now we're going to exercise our power rule. The power rule says anytime you have a power sitting outside of a parenthesis, you need to multiply exponents. So it's going to be z to the 10th. This is 4 to the 1st, that's going to be 4 squared, which is 16. X to the, just showing you I'm distributing those powers, x to the 6th, and then y to the 30th. On a monomial, when we have a power sitting outside a parenthesis, make sure that they're a monomial type, a monomial divided by another monomial, then you can distribute your powers to multiply them together. So our final answer is z to the 10th over 16 times x to the 6th, y to the 30th.